Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 34, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I am a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. First up, we've got a lot of news. The Super Mario Bros. Movie sequel has a title, Nintendo has confirmed their free Switch 2 upgrades, and what those games will be. Naughty Dog has had to coach an actor on how to avoid online harassment, total shocker, right? Fortnite has created a Darth Vader AI chatbot, and it went exactly how you'd expect, and so much more. Joining me for all of this, and also to discuss two in-development games you can play right now, Love at the Milky Way Diner and Scarlet Hollow, is Ekamy. Ekamy is a pansexual woman whose pronouns are she, her. Ekamy can be found on Twitch streaming games, cooking, and book club. How are you, Ekamy?
Doing good. I've been sick the past week, but I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm so grateful.
That's fair. I've had two, what you described, sore throat and just, congestion. I've had that twice in the last, year.
Oh, no.
And it's brutal every time. It knocks me on my ass, so I feel
awful.
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But before we jump into things, I have a few quick favors to ask. If you like this podcast, please consider leaving a comment, a review, or a rating on your preferred podcast platform. Leaving feedback not only helps with visibility of the podcast, but it does help me know what you like and don't like about the podcast so I can improve it as I find my footing. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, although that TikTok account, again, I don't really update, but it's all at True Avatars. And you can find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I aim to bring you news, interviews, and up-to-date discussions that are relevant to queer gamers, so you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. Can you see why I don't say the acronym every time?
You did well.
Okay, let's jump into the news.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have one tiny thing that I didn't send you that I'm including here, but it's a quick note. We're not going to talk about it really. But a few episodes ago, I talked about the Dead by Daylight. They're adding a trans character called Aurella Rose. And now she's officially confirmed. I did report this back in episode 30, so please go back and check that out if you check out that episode if you'd like to hear more. But our first real headline of the week is that Fallout has been renewed for Season 3. Ekamy, you said you've watched Fallout Season 1. I have not actually started it yet, so...
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I really enjoyed Season 1. It was good. It's nice to hear that they've been renewed for Season 3 before even Season 2 has aired. That's good news. Yeah, I'm excited for when Season 2 comes out.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be coming out in December. So it looks like it's roughly about 16... No, I think, what did I write here? 18 months between seasons? 20 months. I can't even read. I'm too tired to we're doing this too early in the morning. That's my own fault. I scheduled it. But the same day that Fallout was renewed for Season 3, the actor Aaron Morton, who plays Maximus, said that there are plans for his character to continue on the show until seasons 5 or 6. So I guess the hope is that the show is going to go for that long as it keeps getting renewed.
Right.
So obviously that's not 100% confirmation, but if the show does release at a cadence of every 20 months, Season 6 would be coming out around summer 2032, which is incredible to think about. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, really. Whew.
So what do you think is going to come first, Fallout 5 or the 5th season of Fallout?
Great question. The safe answer would be Fallout 5, but hearing even just the idea that they're aiming for 5 or 6 seasons. There's so many shows that I've watched recently where they're hey, we're gonna do 2 seasons because we were promised that, and then maybe if viewership is good, we'll get a Season 3, but usually Netflix will cancel it or some baloney, right? I know they're with Fallout's with Prime, but then again, there has been really successful shows. Wheel of Time is doing great on Prime, and it's a really good show. Don't know if that's going to get 6 seasons, but I can see that show getting 6 seasons. So yeah, it's nice that they're hopeful and nice that there's some plans there. Yeah, and I honestly, it's getting me kind of interested in maybe trying out a Fallout game because I haven't actually played any Fallout myself, but.
Yeah, I'm a bad trans person. I've never played Fallout New Vegas. So, but yeah, Amazon is much less, if anyone listening is worried, Amazon is much less trigger happy about canceling shows unless they're actually doing poorly, whereas Netflix Netflix's strategy just seems to be like cast a wide net on different types of content.
Right.
And then once they have a couple seasons to kind of draw you into the platform, they're relying on you just not canceling your subscription.
Yeah.
Whereas Amazon just makes so much money with other things that they just they're just like Apple. They're just dumping money into whatever they can, and they just keep renewing it because they're getting decent enough numbers. So
yeah.
Well, we also have some news on the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel. It now has a title, and I messed up my segue. I was going to segue. It was going to be so beautiful. I was going to be like, speaking of video game adaptations, the second Mario movie now has an official title. But anyway, the title is Super Mario World, so it's not going to be like Super Mario Brothers Movie 2. It's Super Mario World, which doesn't really tell us too much. But if you like to speculate, which I definitely don't like to speculate, but we're going to do it anyway because I definitely love it. It does assume that, Yoshi will be a major character, which obviously Yoshi was teased at the end of Super Mario Brothers 1. Normally, I would say that's a big spoiler since it's in a post-credit scene, but it has nothing to do with the movie, and at this point, the movie's been out for 2 years, and now we're talking about the sequel. So Yoshi will be a major character, and we know that now it will not be an adaptation of Super Mario Galaxy. Everyone was kind of speculating maybe Super Mario Galaxy will be the next thing because they were like clearly kind of going through the 3D platformers, and they ignored Sunshine entirely in the last movie.
Yeah.
But the title world doesn't really invoke other planets. It invokes the one that they're on currently.
Yeah.
And Super Mario World is very much set like on Mario's version of Earth. So I was thinking about this a little bit though, as I wrote in the notes here, is that when in this, like the game is about Mario and his buddies going on vacation, right? Or like the game is. So the movie will probably be like, okay, we defeated Bowser. Let's go take a break and go on vacation to this like other island. And so I actually think they could do a mix of Sunshine and Super Mario World because both games are like going on vacation. And also, where do you go with Bowser's story next if he's going to be the villain again? Because like you can't just do him kidnapping Peach for the same reasons again, right? Yeah. And so having Bowser be like, well, I need a mom for my kids, right? I'm a single dad. Like I need someone to take care of my kids. I want someone to make a family with. And I know as problematic as that sounds, like that's what the game is about. Like Bowser Jr. and Mario Sunshine wants a mom. And I'm like, well, Bowser Jr. would be a great character to introduce. But also I realized the Koopalings.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Are also introduced in Super Mario World. So they could either do Bowser Jr. or they could do all 7 of his kids, which I think actually would be funnier as much as I would prefer to see Bowser Jr. But
right, yeah. They'll definitely have like little bits from all from a bunch of different games. I mean, we definitely saw like in the first movie there was the Luma, and there was like a little bit for a little like dedicated section to Mario Kart, basically. So I think they'll probably have like. I mean, I would hope they would have bits and pieces of like Sunshine and maybe Galaxy. Like we might see Rosalina. That'd be really cool to have like her cast. But yeah, like the idea of Odyssey would be fun to play with, I think. I also thought a bit about like 3D World where like the I think it was first on Wii U, I can't remember, but
you're correct.
Before Bowser's Fury. So that whole thing is like, you go through each world as you would any normal Mario game, and you can play with up to like 4 characters, and you can get like different cat suits and different suits and all that. And I can see that like in the first movie, they definitely have that whole thing of like, well, Peach is going to go on that, like she's going to train Mario or help him out at the beginning and then like go on do her own kind of journey. But I feel like if they're focusing more on like 3D World with like a little bit of like an Odyssey kind of plot line, maybe I feel like she's maybe going to be in the movie more, and then maybe she'll end up like kicking Bowser's ass because she's badass in the first movie. So yeah, I think it'll be fun, and they have a lot to work with when they like if that's a pretty broad title. I feel like they can take from a lot of games. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and I think like I want to see Mario Sunshine because I think the idea of Mario having to pay off his jail time, his community service to clean up the island. I think that's a great premise. Yeah,
that would be very fun. And I would die for like a Mario Galaxy movie. I think that like Mario Galaxy is like one of my favorites, and I think that'd be really fun. But that would be very funny. The Sunshine aspect.
Yeah, I think maybe Mario Galaxy will be the third one, hopefully.
Yeah.
But like I have this feeling like they're gonna do Rosalina because she's very popular, but like maybe she's the post-credit scene in this one, or maybe for all we know, it starts off on it's Mario World, and then like maybe like halfway, like the end credits, because he went off into space halfway through the movie. Maybe it changes to Worlds or something.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool.
So, but yeah, anyway, so I think the release date for this, I actually should have put this in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it's actually about a year from now. It comes out next April. I'm just going to double check that. April 3rd, 2026. So
okay. Early April. Nice. Okay.
there should be marketing soon. I mean, so when this bit of information got leaked that the title is Super Mario World, it was in like a press release for like, not even Universal's like upcoming slate. It was for Peacock and being like, these things are going to come to Peacock streaming service right after they release. And one of the movies listed was Super Mario World. It didn't say Super Mario Bros. 2 sequel. It was like Super Mario World. And then like, I guess people figured it out and they removed it from the press release.
Oh, that's funny. Wow. Huh. Interesting.
So Nintendo must have been pissed. Miyamoto must have been, sending the snipers after them. But yeah, so I think there's going to be like, I think once the Switch 2 is kind of like out of the way, the release of it, sometime this summer, we're going to see that marketing ramp up. Miyamoto will probably trot out in a direct and, announce 3 random voice actors you would not want in a Mario movie to be voicing like the Koopalings or whatever. And then, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra. Technically, it was delayed, although I really never expected it to launch in 2025, but it is now set for early 2026. And so, if anyone's like, what is this game, Zoe? I've never heard of it. There was a trailer last year and then it basically flew under the radar since, but the director who did the first 3 Uncharted games has kind of been bouncing from studio to studio as all her games have been kind of, unfortunately, canceled or rebooted by the studio. I think she was working on a Star Wars game at one point that would have been like Uncharted. I know Star Wars Outlaws is kind of that game now, but she was working on something different called 1313. But anyway, so Amy Hennig is working on this Captain America Black Panther game set during World War II.
Cool.
The summary is as follows. In the chaos of war, worlds collide. Captain America and Azuri, the Black Panther of the 1940s, must overcome their differences and form an uneasy alliance to confront their common enemy. Fighting alongside Gabriel Jones of the Howling Commandos and Nanali, a Wakandan spy embedded in occupied Paris, they must join forces to stop a sinister plot that threatens to turn the havoc of World War II into the ultimate rise of Hydra. So what's really cool about this is that Captain America is the only white character of the 4 playable characters mentioned in that description.
Very cool.
So, I'm sure fanboys will be completely normal about that. And the trailer does look really cool, but it's all cinematics, no gameplay. But it's shot like an MCU movie. So if you really like Captain America: The First Avenger, like that first Captain America movie they did, like this is for you. Like it's more of that. And they mentioned I think on the Marvel website that there's 3 super soldiers. So we obviously Red Skull is gonna be that third one, because we know that Captain America, Black Panther are super soldiers. But they don't say who the third one is, so I have to assume it's Red Skull.
Probably. Interesting. That seems really cool. I also had not heard, like you're mentioning, for anyone who might not know what this is, I was like, I have no idea what this game is, but I'm interested. I've watched a good amount of Marvel at by this point, so and I did quite like the First Avenger and Winter Soldier as films. So I feel like I'd be probably super into this, and I mean I like the Uncharted games, so I'm sure they'll be kind of interesting and fun. Yeah, I'm after we record, I'm probably gonna watch the trailer and get hype for it,
Yeah, especially since it's like coming in less than a year, hopefully. If it doesn't, I mean, I think it'll probably get delayed again because they announced another early release window for 2026. But I feel like if your game is that soon out, like if your game is that soon out and you're saying this a month before, like not E3 and Summer Games Fest and all that.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just save the
information?
Yeah. So, and I should mention that there's 4 playable characters. It's not a multiplayer game. It's single player. So for anyone listening is like, oh no, Marvel's doing another, it's Avengers and there's like, it's, a single player story wrapped in a multiplayer like thing. It's not. Yeah. This is a single player. If you like Uncharted, if you like Captain America kind of thing or Black Panther, this is for you.
Cool.
Speaking of Naughty Dog, at least, the lead actor on Naughty Dog's next game has received coaching on how to deal with online harassment. And I'd also like to be coached, please and thank you, because True Avatars has been mildly harassed a couple times. But
oh no! Oh.
But anyway, many of you are aware that Naughty Dog is working on its next big cinematic action game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, and the game's star, Tati Gabrielle, is both a woman and a person of color, both traits that a certain online group of people do not like. Unfortunately, we are not part of that group, to be clear. So Neil Druckmann, the games director, has been coaching her on how to deal with the backlash now that she's in the public eye and attached to a high-profile project. So she said, Neil's been boot camping me. She told Entertainment Weekly, I know Troy's experience, I know Ashley's experience, I know Laura Bailey's experience, and my own note here is that Laura Bailey played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2, a character who's received a lot of similar hate for unjustified spoilery reasons in The Last of Us Part 2. But continuing with the quote, she said, I got a lot of love, but there was a lot of hate over me being a woman, me being a person of color, me having shaved my head. All these things that I didn't even actually initially see. I'm out of the social media zeitgeist for that reason. But once I did, Neil was like, ignore it no matter what. Me and you, we're going to make something beautiful. We're going to make something that we're proud of. End quote.
Nice.
So
that's really nice. I have heard a little bit of the backlash that we're talking about for Intergalactic, which is very much like, come on guys, like let's all be adults here, and like we barely even know anything about the game anyway, so like there's no point for all of this, but it's nice that nice to hear that like from someone so high up in like being like the equivalent of a showrunner kind of for this game. Like it's nice to hear that they're doing that. It's sad that she experienced that. But I am really interested to see how Intergalactic goes, because I'm so intrigued by by what we have seen about it. So yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of have two thoughts. Obviously I have thoughts about Intergalactic, but I've been thinking about online backlash and how, especially, like it's nice that Neil Druckmann is doing this for his like stars, because there's a lot of games and a lot of movies that have come out recently where and even like celebrities who've done branding. Like I think, was it Dylan Mulvaney who she's trans and she was doing marketing for, I think, like Bud Light or something like that. And like, she was dealing with harassment from people like all over the internet. And, Molson, Bud Light, whoever owns, I don't drink beer, so I don't know anything. But what was going on was that like, the corporation in charge of this campaign wasn't doing anything to help with the backlash, or like at least reaching out and saying, hey, we're sorry you're dealing with this. Like
really?
Nothing on their end. So it is nice that like, and even in the early days, like I don't know if Disney and Star Wars are better about this now, or like Lucasfilm, but like Star Wars especially is famous for people being like run off the internet, even as recently as like Star Wars episode 7, 8, and 9 with the actors that played I
do. Yeah.
The actor who played Finn, whose name escapes me, and the actress who played oh my god, I can't remember any Star Wars characters' names. But then, of course, there's also the guy who played, baby Anakin back in The Phantom Menace. He's like the first person who ever got like bullied off the internet by internet trolls.
Yeah.
Anyway, the characters from Star Wars were both people of color. There was already like, the actor who played Finn was already being bullied for Star Wars Episode 7. And then I think they shared a kiss at the end of Episode 8, these two characters, and people did not like that either.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the people who did like Finn, or some of them at least, had been like, no, he's going to be with Rey, or he's going to be a Jedi and do his own thing. He's not going to be romantically involved. Yeah. And then there's this new... Anyway, so all these actors got bullied. And then the bullying also led to like them getting reduced roles in Episode 9, so... Oh,
yeah, big time. Yeah, that's a shame.
Names are escaping me because it's Sunday morning.
I know. I feel so bad. I wish I did. I wish I remembered, but no, they like, because I really like, the actor who plays Finn and the well, in this case, the love interest of the next movie that he had. I really liked her, but I don't remember her name, and I feel so bad.
John Boyega who is the person who played Finn.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Kelly Marie Tran played Rose Tico.
Yes. Okay. I loved her. Yeah.
They were both great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Episode 8. I'm not going to get into it here, but I don't like Episode 8.
No, that's fair. There's some not great obviously there's a lot of like flack that Episode 8 got, and like some of it's warranted. I did for the most part like Episode 8, but like for the big reveal, I didn't reveal, quote unquote, I didn't. Yeah, I won't get into it too much, but there's good and there's bad, and it's new Star Wars, so
Yeah. Well, now we're kind of veering into movie territory, so let's go back to video games here. Yeah. We have some more sad news about layoffs. So Microsoft is laying off 3% of its staff, which is up to almost 7,000 employees. And it's from across the entire company, so it's not just games. And then this is also sadly not their biggest round of layoffs they've ever done in one sitting. So in 2023, they actually laid off 10,000 employees.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's grim. And so I wasn't sure. I was like, every time there's layoffs, I always report on it. And I'm like, it's just the same sad news every week. Do people want to hear this? So I was like, should I include this? Blah, blah, blah. But then I thought about it because I also have nothing new to say every time. I'm like, oh, this is bad. I hope the employees land on their feet, find new jobs at a company that appreciates them. And like, how many times can you just like say that on a podcast? But then I thought that's what they want. They want us to get tired of this. So we become numb to it. So we stop worrying about it and then they can lay off more people. So no, fuck Microsoft. Yeah. Fuck everyone doing the layoffs. I am specifically going to report on this every time. So at least,
well, at least it gets out in the open because like if people, it's for the same reason of like you maybe thinking again of like, oh, should I actually giving it some thought? Should I bring this up? However, if the reasoning behind that is like, I don't have anything else to say that's different, then we're not talking about it. And in my opinion, that's worse because then they're just going to be like, oh, no one's going to report on this. So nobody cares. So of course we're going to do layoffs. It's fine. So bringing it up is better, at least for awareness.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, that's the only new thing I have to say this week, though, is that like I had this revelation that awareness is more important than like regurgitating the same points every time.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft, if we want to just talk about Microsoft in general, like it's very clear that they're taking a different direction with the Xbox. Like even though it sounds like they're making handhelds and they're going to make a new console, they're exclusive. They're going third party, like kind of like Sega did like 25 years ago. So I feel like... Like especially if like Xbox becomes a third party, like an entire team of people making consoles is probably eventually going to go the way of the dodo as well because, people aren't buying the Xbox now. And it looks like the Switch 2 is probably going to sell more in the first couple of years than Xbox is going to sell for their entire series generation.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm all for Xbox going third party, at least just because like then you can play the games anywhere. Like I wouldn't even be against Nintendo going third party if it meant more people played their games, but I get why these companies don't do it. So
yeah, I get it. I was actually just kind of talking about this with my friend the other day. And we talked about it in the last podcast episode, but the idea that Xbox has that like they're going more third party. That's their aim, it seems like. And they're going like, oh, like you can get this on PC, you can get this on Xbox, you can like get Game Pass even if you don't have an Xbox, you can still access these games. That's really nice. And I was thinking about we were actually talking about the Switch 2 a bit, and we were like, okay, so like there is still other companies like Nintendo who are just like, oh, well, we want to have an exclusive so that people will be invested in buying the Switch 2. And my friend was saying, yeah, it's such a shame that they're putting, like, she was excited that the Switch 2 is getting the Switch Online, but Switch 2 specifically is getting the GameCube games. And she was like, that's great, but I hate that it's Switch 2 exclusive because like she doesn't really have the money necessarily to put towards a big console. And she's like, why don't they just like offer it on the Switch 1 as well, but have it at like a higher, like just have it at like another tier, kind of like how PlayStation does, I suppose. Like, I don't want to spend $100, but like, but like, just have that as an option. I'm like, yeah, I wish. But then I was like, but that's a big selling point for 2. Like that was a marketing move to be like, hey, you want to play the GameCube games? You can get the Switch 2 then, because that's only exclusive for that. So there's a bit of like, I guess it's a bit of like, you see across all these video game companies, we see both happening. And I mean, for the long time, like we're all used to just exclusives for the past however many years. Like they love doing that. And that's a marketing thing. So, it would be interesting if like, Nintendo, PlayStation kind of go more the direction that Microsoft is going. Yeah, I don't know, just interesting stuff.
But actually on the GameCube, I was talking about this with Nicole last night, actually, because she was like, yeah, why don't they just put this on Switch 1? And my first thought was, yes, marketing, obviously. Like, they want to sell you the Switch 2. Mm-hmm. But also, I think I read someone speculating, too, probably on Reddit somewhere, that, like, I think GameCube is going to have the rewind feature on Switch 2. So when you're playing the games and you want to, like, go back 5 minutes to like, oh, I messed up, I want to go back, I missed something, and now I can't go back to it. And all those other like 2D, N64, like all these older games, the rewind feature is easily emulated on the Switch 1. But maybe the Switch 2, the emulation, like on the Switch 1, it can't emulate GameCube and have the rewind feature. And that's something that maybe Nintendo thinks fans expect.
Oh, okay. Interesting. See, because like I do wonder, that's interesting. That would be certainly a possibility. Because like, when I think back to like if I'm playing on the Switch 1 and I'm like a Switch Online game, I create save states so heckin' much. Like, you know, it's because I'm like, oh, if I mess it up, previous save state or back 30 seconds, whatever, I'll do that. But if it's specifically like with the Switch 2 technology that you're saying, or like the programming, like that would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see it on Switch 1, but maybe at the end of the day, it is just like we're trying to. They know fans want this. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They've been holding this for probably a while.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like just from like the way the Wii U worked. Like people have been asking for GameCube on like Virtual Console, online, whatever, since the Wii U, and they could have done it on the Wii U, and they could have done it on the Switch, because we do know that like the Switch 1 can emulate GameCube games, because it can emulate Mario Sunshine perfectly.
Yes.
With like upgraded graphics and widescreen support and like all that nice stuff. So yeah, like either it's marketing or it's the rewind thing. But anyway, Ubisoft has delayed a bunch of unannounced games. So this comes from Video Games Chronicle, and they wrote, after a thorough review of its pipeline that took place from October to December, the group decided to provide additional development time to some of its biggest productions in order to create the best conditions for success. End quote. So Assassin's Creed Shadows is the most famous example of this that just released. It was supposed to come out last October, I think, and then it got pushed to February and then again to March. And supposedly, like that 6-month delay or whatever it was did actually benefit the game. So obviously, we don't know which games have been delayed. I have to assume at least the next Assassin's Creed was delayed because of this.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
As far as we know, Prince of Persia is coming out before the end of 2026's fiscal year, so like before the end of next March. But we don't know what Ubisoft's big fall game is. We know that Star Wars Outlaws is coming out on Switch 2 at some point this fall, and I suspect that Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out on Switch 2. But aside from that, like their biggest game is the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. So
I guess we'll see.
And also, Netflix is making a Gears of War movie. Speaking of Netflix, and this is a movie, thankfully, so the biggest problem with this movie is going to be that it never comes out in theaters, not that it gets canceled after season 3. But David Leitch is directing, so he's famous for making John Wick 1, Deadpool 2, Bullet Train, and The Fall Guy. And John Spates is writing. He's responsible for the first draft of Prometheus, not the one that went to theaters, Doctor Strange. And again, I think he also did not finish writing duties on that movie either, but he did first draft. And then he also did both Dune movies that came out recently.
Oh, okay.
And I think he did he did those with Denis Villeneuve. Like he did finish those, and no one ever came in and like rewrote his script.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, I've never actually really thought about Gears of War that much my entire life, because I always just assumed it was like when it came out and when it was popular. Like I didn't have an Xbox. I didn't have like a mature console to play it on. And also it was like big, scary shooting game. Yeah. Like for me, it was like Call of Duty. I didn't know there were aliens in it or whatever it is that are in it. So anyway, so I looked up the summary for the game. So for anyone who doesn't know, like me, it's set on a planet on the brink of societal collapse when a monstrous threat in the form of underground creatures known as the Locust take humanity to the verge of extinction. Delta Squad, a ragtag fire team led by disgraced Sergeant Marcus Fenix, is now charged with leading humanity's last stand. Which actually sounds pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like, what's that movie called? A Quiet Place.
Oh, yes. Bit. Yeah, a little bit. I haven't played a Gears of War game myself. I did watch quite a bit of, like my brother played it when I was younger, because he had an Xbox. And at the time that he was playing it, like I was just like, oh, it's a shooty game. There's lots of blood and gore, and I'm just not about that, so I just didn't go for it. But I feel like it gets it sounds a bit similar to something like Doom, which I know definitely has like a huge following. So I don't even know when the last Gears of War game came out. Like it's been a while, right? I feel like.
And they're making a new one right now, and they're also remastering the first one.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess good time to make a movie then, because there's interest being drummed up again. So, yeah, I hope it goes well. Seems like it'd be an interesting game to base off of.
Yeah. For anyone excited, though, I don't think this is coming out before 2027 because David Leitch has another movie to make before he even starts this one. And like I said, with Netflix doing this, like it's a coin flip of whether it gets a limited theatrical release or not. So if this is something that you're like really excited for, you want to see on the big screen, I mean, Netflix rarely, only with their biggest movies do they do a theatrical release. And it's usually 1 week in like major cities on like one screen, just so they can kind of like qualify for Oscars and say they did it. But they really do not want... they want to kill theaters. I think they've basically said as much. So, and so Ekamy, you brought this news to me actually. So do you want to read the summary here? I'll just introduce it, but the 6-1 Indie Showcase is coming on May 22nd. That's this Thursday.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, this is just something I came across, so I shared it with Zoe. So from Game Informer, the description reads, the 6-1 Indie Showcase is set to return next week on Thursday, May 22nd. And this year, it promises a lineup of 48 indie games, including world premieres, exclusive announcements, and updates to existing indies. Notable games include Mouse PI, For Hire, Suda51 and Swery65 team up Hotel Barcelona, and the first look at Truth Scrapper, the next game from the developer behind In Stars and Time. The event begins with PD's Play, now pre-show at 8:50 a.m. PT, which in Eastern Time it would be 11:50 a.m. And it will highlight 7 quote-unquote overlooked indie games released earlier in the year. And the main showcase begins at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and 12 p.m. Eastern. So this one was something I came across because the developer of In Stars and Time, who is Insert Disc 5, so they like shared the link and they were like, oh my god, my game is next to like Suda51, like this is so cool, you know. And this is, I was really excited that Truth Scrapper is going to get a highlight here because I've been following the devs newsletters that they've been putting out for this game, and for the longest time we've only known the game. The only info we really got about the game was that the name of it was Project TS, so Truth Scrapper. Only like maybe in the past week and a half,
Project
it was
Transsexual.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you know, you say that because there's actually some funny part of that. So, about a week ago, the dev went, "Hey, I'm gonna reveal the name of the game, but as a fun little thing," and they put it on Tumblr and they put it on Blue Sky and all their socials, and they did like a game of Hangman where they said it starts with T, the second word it starts with S, and then there was like little lines and you had to guess what the letters would be. And so people were guessing, and gradually everybody like the name was revealed to be Truth Scrapper, but a lot of people for jokes would just like put in words that they knew was not the title, but like it matched the number of letters in the words. So like I tried my hand at it and I sent it to the dev and I said, oh yeah, it's got to be tasty sausages. So I think another one was toxic sapphics. I was like, oh my god, it was very funny that we were having Blue Sky was just blowing up that day. It was very fun. So when they revealed the name of the game, they also revealed a social media account for the game. So if you look it up on, I think it's on like Instagram, Blue Sky, like it's Twitter. I think it's everywhere. It's just called Truth Scrapper, and they've revealed some of the main characters to be, their names are Sosot, Amour, and Bets. And I believe, I know Bets, I'm gonna double check that. I think it's they, he pronouns, I think. Anyway, they've listed some pronouns, and the game seems really fun. So I'm rambling a bit, but I think the 6-1 Indie Showcase is going to be fun for a lot of different reasons, for all these different games they're showing. But I would be lying if I said that I wasn't most excited to hear about this game. So
No, it's good to be excited for like a showcase with like all these other big games, to be excited for like an indie game, right, that might get less attention. Can I ask what genre Truth Scrapper is? Is it another RPG like before?
So, it is, I think, more of a visual novel, romance and mystery. Actually, let's see if it's. Oh yes, it's described as a mystery / romance visual novel. Okay. So it's a little different from In Stars on Time, I think. But probably is going to be. I imagine it'd be using the same engine, so that's still like visual novel kind of gameplay. Yeah, I think the Truth Scrappers are like a guild, like they're a team of 3 or more. I only know of 3 characters, so yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And of course, any queer games besides Truth Scrapper. Of course, we'll cover Truth Scrapper next week, but any other queer games that are in there, indie or not, we'll talk about, of course. I doubt the Suda 51 game will be queer, but who knows?
Who knows?
Surprises around every corner these days. So Nintendo has finally given updates for the Switch 1, or details rather. Details, like an update on what the Switch 1 games will be on Switch 2 that are getting free upgrades.
Oh, good.
So upgrades, people, upgrades. So I'm just trying to find here. Okay, I have it. So they listed the games on their official website, and they finally wrote like, okay, here's this game is getting a visual enhancement. So I'm just gonna go down the list of like the ones I think are most interesting, because some of them are just like game share. So like you can like send it to a friend and like they can also play it at the same time as you are. Kind of like DS download play back in the day. But the first one, I'm just going to kind of go over the ones that I think are first off interesting, but also that actually get like performance patches.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's what everyone's kind of chomping at the bit to hear about. So ARMS, one of that launch window new IP, one of the only new IPs that Nintendo did in the entirety of the Switch's life cycle, the punching game. It's getting enhanced visuals, so optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2 display and high resolution TVs for improved image quality, which is Nintendo's way of saying like it's going to look like a higher resolution, but they're not also confirming what the resolution will be. It's getting better frame rate and it's getting HDR support, so high dynamic range, which means the colors should be richer and, the darks and the lights in the image should have more detail inside them.
Very cool.
Big Brain Academy is getting game share. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is getting visuals and HDR support. Nothing about frame rate because I think it already runs at 60. And it's getting game share. Clubhouse Games, we already knew was getting something. Game Builder Garage is getting mouse 2 controls. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is getting better visuals. I think it already runs at 60 FPS, so no frame rate, but it also doesn't mention anything about HDR, which is a little disappointing, but the fact that it's getting enhanced visuals at all is nice, so high resolution. These are the 2 that I'm most excited for, as Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet are getting performance patches. And so these include visuals, so higher resolution, and they're also getting an improved frame rate. And I'm sure for most people, that's the big one, is like this game barely could do 30 when it came out. And especially if you went to certain areas with big bodies of water, the game like absolutely dropped to like below like Ocarina of Time, like late 90s frame rate level. And so supposedly one of the things that these games did right before it came out, I was listening to, I think it was It's Super Effective, that podcast. Go listen to them. There's always queer people on that show too, which is cool. But that podcast, they were talking about how when they played the game initially, before it came out, like the game ran really well. And then when the game came out, it just ran worse. And it kept being patched to run, like they would remove things in the overworld, like people, buildings, and Pokemon that you would just spawn on screen. So I also included in the show notes here, someone did a comparison because they released screenshots from the Switch 2 version to see what it would look like. So we don't see frame rate, obviously, but we can see the resolution and we can see that there's more Pokemon on the screen. And someone did a comparison of Switch 1 to Switch 2. And like the Switch 1 version has like 3 or 4 Pokemon on the screen in this body of water area that usually tanks with frame rate. And now there's like almost 20 Pokemon on screen in the Switch 2 version. So it is encouraging. I'm worried that the more Pokemon on screen that there are, the worse the frame rate's going to be. And it's still going to be a terrible frame rate. Because they don't confirm what the new frame rate will be. It could just be a consistent 30 for all we know.
Oh no.
We do know that the Legends EA, though, when it comes out this fall, it's going to have 60. So I'm hoping that this has been like a test run to get Pokemon on Switch running at 60 FPS, at least the Switch 1 games. I'm sure when Gen 10 comes out, it will be probably 30 again and run terribly, poorly optimized. And then so there's a bunch of other games here. I think Ekamy, these last 2 will probably excite you the most, but there's Super Mario 3D World, which is getting visuals, frame rate, HDR for Bowser's Fury only. The HDR is for Bowser's Fury. Right. Have you played the Switch version of this game?
No. I want to.
Oh, Bowser's Fury is really fun. You should.
I know. I've heard.
But it also has game share support, actually, so I might be able to share it with you.
Ooh, okay, cool.
So it's getting that. Up to 4 people can play the 3D world, and in Bowser's Fury, 2 people can play. Mario Odyssey is also getting better visuals in HDR. Nothing about frame rate because it already runs a beautiful 60 frames, and it's getting game share.
Nice.
So the second person can control Cappy. Cool. And then, so these 2 are the ones I said was like the ones that will excite you most, is the 2 Legend of Zelda 2D games that came out on Switch. Echoes of Wisdom and Link's Awakening.
Ooh, nice.
The only downside is, it's getting HDR and they're getting better resolution. But these games have never been able to hit their targeted frame rates. And they say nothing about frame rate in these improvements. And that was the reason I wanted to play them, was for the improved frame rate, because I haven't actually finished Echoes of Wisdom yet. I gave up on it because between you and me, and definitely no one listening to this podcast, I thought Echoes of Wisdom was not that great. I think not being able to fight as Zelda ruined the game, and having to send out other things to fight for you actually like destroys the gameplay loop for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've played I played a bit of the newer Link's Awakening. And I also haven't beat that one, but I was waiting to hear about reviews for Echoes of Wisdom before I played that. So, yeah.
I mean, it's charming and very fun. It's just like when you get a little bar for like some of Link's abilities, like you get a sword and you can like just hit people with the sword, but then it's like, it's a timer. Like you see this little bar depleting as you use it. Yeah. And then you have to go like refill. It doesn't like fill back up on its own. You've got to go find and kill other enemies to get their like, instead of dropping hearts or magic, they'll drop like refills for the bar, and then you have to like, anyway, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that does sound like it.
Yeah, do you think you'll jump into Echoes of Wisdom now that there's going to be like a Switch 2? I mean, I know you're not buying a Switch 2 at launch, but the day that you get a Switch 2, which I'm sure you eventually will,
at some point,
are these games that you're going to play?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm probably more likely to get something like a game that I haven't played on Switch before, because I think we talked a little bit about it in the initial episode where we talked about like when the Switch 2 got revealed, and we were chatting with, it was the 2 Zoes and me. I'm not as, on that episode I was saying I'm not as drawn to get a new game more based on like, hey, it's gonna run nicer, it's gonna look better, you know, it's nice. I'd rather just like get a game that I haven't played. So I'm not like rushing to get Echoes of Wisdom. So if I end up getting a Switch 2 and I still haven't gotten it by that point, probably will go for that one because I hadn't played it yet. But yeah, I guess if it was like, unless they like reveal a game that like, I don't know, like if Nintendo came out, if they did that for a game that I was really excited about, it, that I really loved, that I would play over and over again, like Xenoblade 1, like if they came out and was just like, hey, we brought back the original look from Xenoblade 1 on Wii, like all, because they changed the character designs a little bit for the definitive edition, we brought back that original look and we made it look nicer, like the Dolphin emulation, because like there's a really popular version of that, I'd be like, oh, take all of my money, please. Not that definitive edition doesn't look good. It does look quite nice, but yeah, if it was something like that, I'd be like, yeah, but for the most part, for like just Nintendo IP, like Zelda games. Actually, you know what? If they also said like, hey, we're putting a really nice upscaled version of the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time, yeah, I'd probably go for that too. I really like Ocarina of Time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, weirdly, they haven't said anything about Xenoblade, especially since Monolith Soft being the tanks that they are and making their games run really well. I know Xenoblade X, the definitive edition that just came out, I think they found in the files that there's like a switch that the devs can flip at any time that will turn on 60.
Really?
60 FPS. I think it was 60 FPS or was it 4K? One of those features was like just embedded in there. Yeah. And I think, and I just expect like maybe 3 and X to get something because they're more recent. Yeah. But
and actually, I would go for, if they said we're upscaling 3, I'd be like, maybe. So it's got to be games that I just like was head over heels for, I think. But yeah.
Well, the nice thing is that if they do these are free patches. Like you just
that's
when
true.
you put the cartridge in the console,
that's true. Yeah.
It'll prompt you to download them. So hopefully if they do Xenoblade, I'll be free. And I have a feeling for X, it's just going to be like, I'm going to put my cartridge in on day one. And I think it's just going to unlock the 60 FPS. That's my theory.
Yeah, I can see that. Because I mean, the X remaster or remake was just so recent, right? So like comparatively.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I expect, Monolith Soft to do something at some point. And then maybe I also have a feeling Nintendo's probably going to stagger these like they do with Switch Online, where they're like, here's a new game 3 months later on the GameCube NSO. I think every few months they're going to be like, hey, this game you haven't thought about in a couple of years now has better in performance. Because there's a bunch of games that like, I think they've teased that, what's that 2D Mario Wonder might have something as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, there's just a few games that like are recent that I expect to get some kind of patch. So
yeah.
Okay, one last news story here, and this one's kind of funny but also kind of sad. But anyway, in shocking but not really surprising news, Fortnite added Darth Vader as a fully AI generated chatbot, and it went precisely exactly as awful as you'd expect it to go.
Oh, no.
But so what's kind of cool about this is, so they did add Darth Vader as like a supporting character, kind of like follows you around in your team and helps you fight people.
Yeah.
And the voice itself, like it's the late James Earl Jones's voice filtered through, the Darth Vader like breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
Listening to him speak, it actually sounds like it could have been James Earl Jones performing, which is both scary and cool.
Yeah.
But because it's an AI chatbot, people were trying to prompt Darth Vader to say the most offensive shit you can imagine.
Oh, no.
And unfortunately, Darth Vader obliged.
Oh, no.
So, slurs, lots of slurs, including the homophobic F word.
No.
Lots of xenophobia. Like, way more than there even should, like, you'd expect to be. Like, obviously, you're going to expect some xenophobia, but, like, anyway, the shit he was saying wasn't just, like, the odd slur or the odd thing. Like, people were prompting him to say shit that, like, they didn't exactly prompt him to say anyway.
Yeah.
At one point, he did refer to one nationality as kleptomaniacs.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that wasn't prompted. It was like prompting him to say something about that country, and then he chose something that he should not have been able to say.
Yeah. Oh my God.
People got him to swear quite a bit, obviously. I mean, not one you'd expect. Yeah. And then someone on Twitter was also saying that he threatened to kill someone in real life, not just like, I'm going to like hit you with my lightsaber kind of thing. Like I'll find you in real life. But this tweet had been deleted, so I don't know if it's actually legitimate or not.
Okay.
But yeah, so...
oh my God.
Epic Games did issue a hotfix to solve this issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Ekamy?
Like you said, unsurprising. And I mean, Darth Vader is a villain. I don't think he'd say anything homophobic, but like, threatening to kill someone, maybe. But like, I don't know. It just reminds me of like part of the reason why I don't really play a lot of games that are like Battle Royale. Like, I like Marvel Rivals for the most part. I never got into Overwatch, but like every story I've heard where they're just like, hey, we're like like leave team chat on. It's fine. I'm like, terrible idea. I always turn off team chat, like, or whatever, the group chat, whatever it is. Cause like, I just don't want to get harassed. That's not something I want to do playing a video game. So, I mean, the horror stories of AI just continue, I guess. The
horrors persist, but so do we.
Indeed.
But James Earl, if anyone's wondering, like, if this is like sacrilegious or whatever, James Earl Jones, before he passed away, did sign away the rights to his voice to Disney to do this. Yeah. So on one, like, and I think for years too, Disney was already trying to do this. I know at one point they had Darth Vader doing like, it wasn't Google Maps, but it was one of those map features, like a GPS feature where he gives directions.
Like Waze or whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. So James Earl Jones knew this would happen, and I guess he wanted to enjoy the money that he made off it before he passed away. But also wanted to probably leave something for his family to make money off of for generations, right? Yeah. So on one hand, I don't like what AI is doing, but I think this is one of those things that I've always kind of hoped for and expected, that eventually, like, I don't know, this is probably a very controversial take, and if anyone's listening, feel free to disagree with me, but my opinion is like, there's been lots of talk recently that like they'll use AI to like generate human interaction from NPCs in a video game. So like you go into a video game and talk to an NPC, and either the text that comes up or the voice that comes out will actually refer to you by your name and pronouns and say things uniquely based on how you speak to them.
Right.
things that no human was ever going to program to begin with can now be possible in a video game. Again, there's the ethics of that. But speaking as someone who works in an industry that like makes creative stuff, and I won't say too much more than this, but like people are getting really, really comfortable with AI behind the scenes to the point where you're probably not going to notice it's there in a few years. And even now you might not notice when there are certain things in a video that are AI generated.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like scared to embrace it, but also anyway.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I've heard stories of just like, you know, like studios using it to help boost like efficiency of how to do a certain thing. So, and that's fine. Like, I mean, Spider-Verse did that for both of their movies. I believe they used AI to like help speed up some process but like it was still all like hand drawn and hand animated and like with a blend of CG, obviously. But so I'm like, yeah, like that's if AI is helping a human do something a little more efficiently, great. Like if that's going to be helpful for them. But I don't know. I've seen stuff like, I think I'm more I'm less okay with when I see AI in, either a game or a video of some kind where like visually, like it's a character and there's talking and all that. Like there's a D&D audio drama, I think, that I like listened, or that my friend listened to, and they had a full, like, honestly, it was like 10 minutes long, maybe more, and it was an opening to their videos, to their audio drama, but they had a visual element to it on YouTube, and it was an opening, and it was fully AI, but then I think they like voice acted it themselves, so like the visuals were all AI, and it just looked bad. Like it did not look good. And I was like, man, like you could have I would have been fine if you like, you know, if it was artists and it was like stills and maybe you like, you know, moved the video like across the stills a bit and made a little movement that way, kind of like those like animated comics you see. But I mean, it's cheaper, you know, to do that, I suppose, to do the AI thing, and just, I don't know, there's a whole lot of not great stuff visually about AI. So it makes me feel better that, like, you know, obviously James Earl Jones like signed his voice away, like he gave that consent, but it is unfortunate when it's being used in this way, I guess, right? Because you're like, especially because he's passed, right? Like, you know, so it's tough.
Well, it just surprises me that like Epic Games did not foresee this or like try to like prevent it in any way. Like, right? How did you not know they were trying to get him to say the F word?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, of all things.
What did you think a bunch of like weird teenagers were going to try to do to this character?
In Fortnite too. Like, come on. Like, that's like the, like, I don't know. There's so much that happens in Fortnite that's just teens being teens. Yeah, just they could say whatever they want. So, yeah.
Yeah, and normally I'd be like, Disney was probably aghast that this happened, but actually Disney has been very much homophobic of late, so I bet they didn't actually care that much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said, too, Darth Vader probably wouldn't say anything homophobic. I mean, he is literally Space Hitler.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, that's it for the news. So we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about, it's basically the what we've been playing section, but we're going to talk about 2 unfinished, unreleased games that you can currently play that are still in development. Love at the Milky Way Diner. I wrote Milky War Diner here. And the Scarlet Hollow Early Access. And we are back from the break, and yeah, so as I mentioned before the break, we're going to be talking about 2 unfinished games. They're in development right now. They're finished insofar as that there are demos, or at least a demo for Love at the Milky Way Diner, and there is early access for Scarlet Hollow. So I'll let you, Ekamy, take it away with Love at the Milky Way Diner.
Sure, thank you. This is a demo that I tried very recently, and I was very excited to talk about it. I have pulled up the description of the game from their Kickstarter page, just because it's a little more, there's a little more meat to that description than the Steam page. So just to give you an idea of what it's about, Love at the Milky Way Diner is Clumsy Cat Studios' debut production. They are a strong but mighty team of 2 with big dreams of launching their own video game studio. And the kind of description for the game more so is 200 years after first contact, humanity is still trying to find their place in a galaxy full of far more advanced and established species. One such human, our protagonist, has recently been laid off from their corporate job on Mars when news reaches them. Their distant aunt, Cassiopeia, has passed away suddenly, and she would like one of her relatives to take over her restaurant on the distant deep space station Hesperides. The protagonist decides to take a leap of faith. They may have never left their home star system of Helios, but surely there must be something, or maybe someone, better out there waiting for them. When they reach the station, they find themselves welcomed by a vibrant, multi-species community of eccentric individuals who are only too happy to welcome the new owner of their favorite place to eat. Love at the Milky Way Diner is a game about cultural exchange through food, building community, and finding love in the process. So this is a demo that is accessible now on Steam. You can go and try it out for yourself, those who are listening today. I was really excited about this game since actually you, Zoe, mentioned it on the podcast several months ago now at this point, I think. And I was like, oh, that sounds, because like, I think as you were describing it, you were like, and this sounds like a game Ekamy would like, and I'm just like, and I'm like writing everything down, like typing, Google searching and all that. So I had it in my Steam library for a while, but I sat down the other day and played it because I was sick. I had free time and my head didn't feel like it was going to explode. So I was like, I'm going to play this demo. I probably won't go too much into like all that happens in the demo because it'd be fun. Like if you're just interested, like it'd be fun to just like try it for yourself. But you kind of start off the game, you name yourself. There's a prompt that comes up to say first name, last name. And your character's never shown. There's not like a character creation or anything. It's just like a first person point of view, and this is your character you're thrown in. You're on your way. You've just left your home star system, and you're on your way to set up or basically complete your move, set up shop at your like reopen the diner, like get acquainted with everything, and then like enjoy your life on the space station. And it's a great demo because when you get there and you're going through the whole thing and you're like exploring the station, like you meet all of the characters basically that I think are romanceable in the game. So and they're all different alien races, which was kind of cool. Different designs and colors and really cool. So there's Kyle, who is of the Kayatri species. Lauro is also Kayatri. I should say Kyle's pronouns are she, her. Lauro is he, him. We have an Arulian named Idar, he, him, pronouns as well. We have a Naru named Saria. She's pronouns she, her, and she's a doctor. We have a human that you do meet. There's one human that you meet named Roswell, and their pronouns are they, she, which is pretty cool. We also have Setath, who is a Sketrian, pronouns he, him. Shiwu is another, actually I should say there's two humans. You meet another human named Shiwu, pronouns he, him. And then the last one is another Arulian named Vega, and her pronouns are she, her. So it was really, it's a very, like when you start playing the game, it's a very like bright and colorful and very nice like atmosphere. I find like I really like the art of the game. It's very like soft and just like pleasing to look at. The alien species, in my opinion, like they all differ pretty widely in their design, which is kind of cool. And I just had a really good time going through the demo, more or less. Like to summarize it very quickly, like you meet a bunch of these characters, you have conversations with them, you go to the diner, you check it out, you just like get a feel for the place, and then I think you all end up going out for a little drink on the space station with everybody. And yeah, it was just a really pleasant demo. And the thing I was most excited about too was that like I haven't played a dating sim which also has like the cooking elements. So I really love I love dating sims, I love cooking games, and just the combination of the two, I was like, that seems really fun. Like it's a little bit Coffee Talk, because like in Coffee Talk you make drinks, so like that's what drew me to Coffee Talk. I was like, ooh, I want to do that. That sounds great. I want to run a cafe. And then this one, you're just like, in the demo you do have the option to make, I think, 2 dishes if I recall. So you get some like pointers from a character, and they'll be like, yeah, you could try this, but they won't give you like you should add you know, 1 milk, 1 flour, whatever. They just kind of tell you what it is. They're like, oh, can you, like, how about this? It's a sweet dessert with milk. And then you're like, okay, what could go in that? And then you click what you think, and it'll tell you if you make it and you got it. And then if you didn't, then you're like, all right, I'll try it again and I'll make a new one. I think the first dish I made, I messed it up. But I was like, okay, I'll just remake it. Like, there's just a button to hit, like, retry. Great. And then you go through and you make it. And the second one, I just got it, like, first try. I am curious if, like, there is, like, I don't know how to describe it, but like a grace kind of with like, hey, because they're not giving you like the recipes.
Like so if you mess it up a bunch of times, right? Yeah.
So if like, I'm curious if they're like, make this cake. And if you say like, milk, flour, and strawberries, but you don't include the butter, you'll still make a cake. But if you do include the butter, you'll still make a cake. Like, you know, they might have something like that, but I don't know. Yeah, it was just really nice. I like already when I was playing it, I was like, ooh, I think I might want to like maybe romance Saria or maybe romance Idar. Like they were so sweet. Oh my gosh. Ooh, and the fun thing too, as well, was when you get to the diner, so you get a delivery of a bunch of like fruits and vegetables, but they're all alien fruits and vegetables. You have no idea what like any of them are. So you're like, oh, what do I don't know how to work with these. And some like the delivery person, who is Idar, is there, and he's like, oh, I can help. Like I work in like the agriculture sector of the station, so I can tell you about all these fruits. So you can go through each one and he'll describe what they are or what they kind of taste like. And then you're like, oh, okay. So like, I assume as the game goes on, maybe you'll get more fruits and vegetables like that you'll learn about. And then you'll like try out dishes just purely based on like what you think what taste they'll add to the dishes. So that was really cool. So obviously they spent time to like design all of these like fruits and vegetables, which look like very colorful, and I mean, they look like alien fruits and vegetables. They look really cool. Yeah, and it's just really fun. It seems that they also do have some nice options of like, you can be platonically just like someone's friend, or like if you just don't want a romance, like that seems to be fine. Like you can in dialogue select specifically like, oh, I want to flirt with them, or say, no thanks, you're really cool though. And like, that's kind of similar to like Arcade Spirits and how they did it, which I liked. Yeah, it just seems like it's a lot of fun. I believe this game is coming out in October, I think. And if people are interested, the Kickstarter is still accepting pledges. It's just that they've closed the pledge rewards where it's like the physical, like you get a keychain or you get like a poster. Like you can just pledge and like have your name in the game basically still, which I might do. And it just looks really cute and charming. I also should mention too that in terms of the just some like fun little queer aspects, which are really nice, is that you actually can set your pronouns and set your background. I believe it happens when you speak with Jiwoo, which is about maybe like a third of the way into the demo. But you can set them and whatever, like that's how they'll refer to you. Yeah, you can, from the characters that I listed off, I'm pretty sure you can romance any of them if you choose to. So it is I guess that would be technically player sexual. And I mean, that's most dating sims. Yeah, it's just, I was really charmed by it, and I'm very excited for it. And I was happy to know that the dev, or devs, I should say, because it's 2 people, is at the very least the artist that I know is Canadian. She's from Vancouver. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, when I first heard about this game and I started talking, I think I initially compared it to Coffee Talk, because like initially when you pull up the itch.io page or itch.io. Yeah. I think your partner called me a fed for saying itch.io, which I think about on a regular basis, to be honest. But when I first saw it, I was like, this looks like Coffee Talk in space.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a criticism. It was just like a very like, this is LGBTQ Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
But like you're talking, it's a dating sim and all these other things, and like you can set your pronouns, and Coffee Talk doesn't really do that. Coffee Talk is like queer in its fringes.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, first off, it's wearing its queer heart on its sleeve, but also like beyond the fact that you're running a restaurant or a diner, and you're making the food, and you like, you know, you have to like serve the right food and you have to make it correctly. Like that's where the coffee talk similarities end based on what you're saying. And actually I think that's awesome because and I like that coffee talk has kind of spawned inspired all these other games, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I like that it's got this dating sim element to it because it makes it different from coffee talk, and something that I think coffee talk actually lacks is that dating sim element. So
yeah, it's very like coffee talk is very much kind of like the motif of like you're the tavern keeper and you're listening to people's stories and you're just there to like, you know, help them feel cozy and comfortable, and you know, then they pay you in like the stories that they tell. Kind of similar to a D&D podcast I'm listening to, but anyway. Yeah, and then in this case it's more like the character that you play does have this backstory of like you've inherited this diner from your aunt who's just passed, and it's really interesting coming into going into the game with that in mind, because now like that diner and that person has a history not just to you but to everybody on that station, because the Milky Way Diner at that station, like everybody loved it. Like everybody was like, this is great. We're so sad that your aunt passed, and like, you know, we're sure we are absolutely sure you'll do great. And they welcome your character, and they're like, yeah, like we're so happy that the diner is going to stay open because it's a big central point on that station. Like I feel like it's one of those like people go there for like every lunch, like kind of thing. There's also a bar as well. I guess not the only establishment on the station, but it's definitely like it's got that history. So like but at the same time, that's still your only like defining like or major defining thing for your character. Whereas in Coffee Talk, like, and I'm primarily going off of the first game because I have not played episode 2 of Coffee Talk yet. But you don't actually know like anything about your character in Coffee Talk until maybe a hint at the end, and then you're like, what? Like there's a big like kind of reveal, which maybe I'll go more into if I either replay the game or play episode 2. But that's what Coffee Talk's meant to be. Like they're not meant to focus on that character, whereas this one is kind of like giving a little flavor to the character, but then focusing on everybody you interact with.
Yeah, no, I like that about it. Like and this isn't like a knock at one or the other. Like I like both,
no.
I do like
that
this. I was a little, I won't lie, I was like a little worried. I was like, is it just Coffee Talk in space with a little bit of LGBT, like a little queer vibe to it?
Right, yeah.
And like it is that, but then it also becomes so much more after that. So I like that about the game.
Yeah. It was fun. I'm really looking forward to the release.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it too. I think I don't know if I'll support the Kickstarter, but I think I'll play the demo and then think about it too. And yeah, I look forward to it in October. I'm sure we'll talk about it too when it comes out.
Oh, yes.
We'll do an episode on it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I like that it's also being partly made. Every time I find a new queer indie game, I usually find out that the people making it are either in Toronto or they're Vancouver. And I'm like, yay, we're making so much queer content.
Yes.
So
I love it. That was like how I was really, when I was excited and I found out that the dev for In Stars and Time lives in Toronto. I know that they're not like born in Toronto. I know they're from France, but it's just nice to be like, wow, like I don't live in the same city, but I live close, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, every time I'm like, yay, I like there was a game I was talking about last week and they were inspired by something that was like really like physically close to me.
Yeah.
I won't specify what that is because I would dox myself. But,
yeah.
So that was really, really special and fun to like see that I'm like, oh, hey, this is really close to home. So
nice.
I can segue to our next game, but I just wanted to ask if you have any final thoughts on Love at the Milky Way. I keep saying Milky Way Diner. Milky Way Diner.
No, I think I said everything for the most part. I think it's really, really refreshing, very fun, very cute. I'm interested to see how the game, how the full game goes. I'm probably going to get it launch day, I feel like.
Well, okay, speaking of Canadian-made, Toronto-made specifically games that are currently either demos or early access that are unfinished, that are also queer, So Scarlet Hollow, I'm sure a lot of people listening might already know this game because it already has quite a big following. It comes from the same developers, Black Tabby Games, who made Slay the Princess. So it's a visual novel. And yeah, it's again, like, I think the couple that is making it, they are not queer, but all their games have had like an element of queerness to it. Nice. This game specifically features very heavy player sexuality. So when you start the game, you pick your name, you pick your pronouns, and then everyone in the game kind of like, you're just you. Whoever you pick decided to be, you are. And you pick like, so when you load up the game, you also get to pick like a couple like quote unquote like personality traits / superpowers. So I picked like being super flirty to everyone. And the other one I picked was talking to animals and understanding what they say in response to you. And there's like a whole bunch of different options. And like, these aren't just like for flavor. These actually affect the way you play the game, which is really cool. So basically I was playing a flirt the whole game. Like I would flirt with everyone. I realized I like pretty much, I think I did effectively romance everyone in the sense that like I got everyone interested in me. Nice. And then I would just be like, okay, bye now. Like, I'm leaving. And then the talking to animals thing too is like, there's an entire scene that I was able to play out because I chose this trait. Where cool. I was like investigating this mystery and I was talking to all these animals like in this game. Yeah. So I'll just set up, you are basically estranged from your family and your family is from a small town and you return to this small town. And it is a horror game, and it has like a content warning at the start. Yes. But you return at the beginning of the game, at the start of the game, to this town where your aunt has died. Or maybe it's your mom. To be honest, I actually am not sure because neither of them are in the game. I think both of them have passed away at this point. But I think you're returning for the aunt's funeral.
There's a theme between these two games.
Yes. But there's like all this strange shit happening at Scarlet Hollow. Like it's not just like one thing. Like there's a mine collapse. There is I don't even want to spoil it too, because like currently there's 4 out of the 6 chapters are available on Steam for early access. Yeah, I couldn't finish the game. Like obviously I played through it. I kind of finished it all in like 1 or 2 sittings. Like I was into it. Yeah. And so I didn't finish the game, but like there's enough there already that I was like, that was great. Like I'm excited for the future, but like I was pretty satisfied just with the content that's there already. And then when you finish too, it like it lets you can go back into the game now and replay everything, but also now you can pick 3 personality traits this time, but they're a little bit neutered in the sense that like they don't affect a certain element. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, so you get to this strange town and your cousin, who you haven't really spoken to ever, picks you up and she's kind of a bitch. She's not very nice to you. But then so you're basically going through this town and you're like bonding with the townspeople and you're figuring out what's going on, and you're, the first night you're in the woods and like there's like these really creepy creatures stalking you. The whole like every scene also has like some kind of animal in it. So like the character that you're going into the woods with has a pet dog. And the whole time I'm like, you have the option of talking to the dog to get the dog's take on what's going on. And you can find out more information from the dog. Oh, interesting. Right? That wouldn't be there if you didn't pick that personality trait. I'm not saying you have to pick that personality trait, but it encourages you, knowing whatever traits you picked affect the story, to go back and play it again and pick a different trait next time. And, and see how the story changes. This game is like Slay the Princess has like a lot of branching paths and a lot of different ways to go, but like a game with multiple chapters like this that is still in development, like it's got to be a wild number of like choices you can make in this game. I think you said you've heard of Scarlet Hollow, so I'm just curious like what your impressions were before I started talking about it, or like what you know about it already.
To be honest, I knew very little other than it was from the Slay the Princess devs. Because I really want to play Slay the Princess and I have not yet. And I think I've heard honestly, I mostly heard it probably from a couple friends who really enjoyed Slay the Princess. They're like, oh, this next game is coming out. It looks really cool. I feel like I must have looked it up once, because it did remind me, I think that the atmosphere or like the vibe that I got from the game reminded me of a point and click adventure from Wadjet Games. And I'm not remembering the name of it, but it's another kind of like creepy horror game in like a small town, and there's weird stuff happening. But that's about as much as I knew. So I was happy to hear more today.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for that. Like, I don't know when chapter 5 is coming. I don't know when chapter 6 is coming. Currently, it's just the first 4. But it just like, I like Slay the Princess. Yeah. But I loved Scarlet Hollow. Like it ticked all the boxes for something that horror that I liked. There was like all kinds of unexplained crap going on, and you can like investigate it or you can like ignore it, or, you know, at certain points the townspeople are like, hey, don't do this, like don't go here. And like depending on the vibe check that you're getting, you're like, hey, do I want to explore this more? Do I not want to explore this? At one point the game gives you like a very extreme choice to do something, and I won't spoil what it is, but it will very greatly affect the story of the game. And obviously like there's like an overarching like narrative that's going on like every night, so basically the game is also set over 1 week, so every chapter is like one day of this week leading up to the funeral. And so every night's like a different horror genre, it's a different situation, it's different, it's just different. So obviously those kind of beats will happen regardless of what you do, but like there's a choice you make, I think at the end of chapter 3, that just like affects the way people interact with you, the way they react to you, the way they talk to you, the way you're perceived. And it created a challenge for like, can I still play this game as a flirt? And like, and I still was able to, and people were still into it. So it's just like, yeah, it's again, it's early access, but they just recently revamped the first chapter to get it more in line with the way the chapters 2, 3, and 4 kind of look and feel. I was very fortunate enough to meet the devs at a party back in February, and they were talking about Slay the Princess, but they were really hyping up Scarlet Hollow. And I think Scarlet Hollow is like, even if they don't stick the landing, which I think they're going to, but if they don't stick the landing in chapters 5 and 6, like chapters 1 to 4 alone are like enough to get you in the door. Like if this already interests you, just go pick up the early access. Because then usually early access also is like, and this isn't to say like, I wouldn't say support the devs at full price, but like early access games are generally cheaper. And then guess what? You get to play it early. You might get to interact with the devs a little bit because you can give feedback. But then also when the full game comes out, you just got it at a discount. Right. So anyway, I'm not always saying like I recommend early access games, but like this is one that I would say like it's only early access because chapters 5 and 6 aren't out. It's like Deltarune. You like the chapters they released are finished chapters. Like there was nothing in there that was like, we don't have this screen ready yet. And maybe there are in different branching paths, but yeah, no, I haven't had time to go back in, but I played it on my Steam Deck, and I really want to go back and do that second run through with the 3 choices, like pick 3 different traits and like play through it and see how it changes. Cause it was just so incredible and so much fun. And just like, yeah, every time something happened to it, it's like all the horror tropes that you would want from each section they go through. It's just like, it checks all the right boxes. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Very nice. I'm intrigued by it. Yeah, I might check out that early access copy.
And especially too with the player sexuality, and like you can like romance, there's like a whole bunch of romanceable characters, and like being bi myself, and I mean, I guess my definition of bi is probably a little closer to your definition of pan, but I was romancing everyone, and I was like into it. I was like, this is a bisexual or a pansexual like wet dream for like a dating sim. Because not only does it like make you, like you can romance as many people as you like, and like you won't necessarily go on a date with everyone, but like you can flirt with them, you can hit on them, you can like, they will react in kind. Everyone's kind of into you no matter who they are, which is fun.
That's cool.
And again, maybe that's different if you're not the flirt. Maybe you have to pick one person. The only downside was because I never really honed in on one person or like chose one person, I think I missed out on maybe deeper connections with all of them. But I like just kind of being this like new in town flirt. I'm gonna like, everyone's sexy. Like I'm just gonna see who's on the table. So
that's great. I love that.
But yeah, it's available now in early access, chapters 1 to 4. They haven't said when 5 and 6 are coming, although based on, I think this has been in development since before Slay the Princess came out. So I think it'll be a little while before 5 and 6 come out. It's going to be the kind of game that I think I'll probably have to replay when chapter 5 comes out, and then maybe again when chapter 6 comes out. But
that's fair.
Go check it out. It's called Scarlet Hollow. It comes from Black Tabby Games. The devs themselves, I'm pretty sure are not queer, but they are very queer inclusive, queer friendly. I mean, they spoke to me for like an hour, and I'm a non-passing trans person with like a deep voice, so like they're cool people. And their games are awesome. And if you also are interested in Slay the Princess 2, definitely go check that out as well. Scarlet Hollow is only on PC. I think Slay the Princess is pretty much any platform that imaginable that's current gen. So
nice.
All right, Ekamy, it's time for Queer Game of the Week.
Yes.
What is your game?
Yes. So my queer game of the week is called The Longest Journey. Very quickly, I'm going to pull up the Steam page because I am not fully prepared, but I want to. But basically, The Longest Journey is a game, excuse me, a game from the late 90s. Okay,
it's 2000 actually.
Technically, it's like 1997. I think the Steam date was 2000. The description of the Steam page is actually just kind of very short. I didn't realize how short this was, but anyway. The Longest Journey is an amazing graphical adventure where the player controls the protagonist, April Ryan, on a journey between parallel universes. That is the most, no spoilers whatsoever. There's so much to this game. That's great though. The Longest Journey is a story about where you play as this young woman named April Ryan, and you learn that you have the ability to shift between worlds, and you live.
So I just want to say that's super cool. I don't mean to cut you off. I just think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So there's like the world of magic, which is called Arcadia, and then you live in what they call Stark, which is they classify it as the world of science. So it's they make that kind of differentiation between the two. And the driving plot point is that there is a great tower that is situated on the border between Stark and Arcadia, and there's supposed to be a guardian of that tower that brings both worlds into balance. There's a prophecy that said that's supposed to be like, if you're a guardian in that tower, like the chosen guardian will bring both worlds together, and they won't be separate. They'll be merged, because there was a time when they were together, but then they got separated. So it's a point and click adventure in the most point and click adventure definition that I can describe. Like, you combine items, the answers to solutions are absolutely like unthinkable half the time, but it's great. It's just what you would expect from like a 90s point and click. It's very fun. And I wanted to name it as Queer Game of the Week because The Longest Journey features some really positive depictions of queer relationships and queer preferences. So there are two characters who you meet very early on in the first game, who are they own a building which is basically like student housing for a university where you're at, or a college. And they're both like lesbians and just a nice relationship, and they're super funny and so sassy and just it was just really nice to see them. You might not see them a whole lot in the game just because you're like going between two worlds, but like every time you see them, they're just the sweetest couple. I love them. And there's also an NPC you encounter in the game where if I recall correctly, I think there's an option like where you go up to this cop. He's a police officer, and you go up to him and you have the option for fun to just flirt with him. And like, I think you're trying to like he's blocking the way to some place, and you want him to move. So you're like, oh, I'll flirt with him and maybe he'll move or whatever. So you flirt with him, and then he basically says, oh, I'm sorry. I like men. Like, I'm not that, but have a nice day. And you're like, oh,
I'm sorry, I like men. Bye.
Yeah. It's funny because you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. That's cool. But it's also not like using, queerness as like purely as a joke or like as like making fun of queerness. It's just, oh, that I don't swing that way. You're like, okay, cool. And you just find some other way to see if he can move. And it was just really nice to see that in this game, especially for like a game from the 90s. It's just, I don't know, it's just really nice to see. And I want to also give like a bit of an honorable mention to the series as a whole, because this is the first game in a trilogy, which is broadly called Dreamfall. The first game is called The Longest Journey. The second game is called Dreamfall: The Longest Journey, and the third game is called Dreamfall Chapters. And I have played the first two. I've played Longest Journey and Dreamfall: Longest Journey. And I have not played Chapters yet, but I have heard that there is a lot of great queer representation in Dreamfall Chapters. I think the main protagonist you play, at least 2 out of the 3 are definitely queer. One is a gay man, the other one is a pansexual woman, which is pretty cool. I think there's other NPCs that are queer that you encounter. And that one, if you ever end up looking up information about it, you might notice that the developers, like the studios, are different. So The Longest Journey and I believe the sequel were made by Funcom, And the showrunner of the game, the lead game person is Ragnar Tornquist. And then the third game, Dreamfall Chapters, was made by Red Thread Games, which I may have mentioned the name of in another podcast episode because they are the ones who made Dustborn. And what it was that I believe Ragnar Tornquist left Funcom and basically founded Red Thread Games, and they've been making games since. So they made Dreamfall Chapters. So he's always been on these games. They've always been basically his child. And they just have some cool new people on the team, which is great. But yes, highly recommend Longest Journey if you're interested in just a really fun, fantasy kind of game, and you really like point and click adventure style games. You're gonna love this one. The Steam copy is great, and yeah, just if the series interests you, check it out. At some point, I'm really interested to play Chapters, so we'll that is my pick for this week.
When you told me what the game would be, I gave it a quick look up, and I was waiting to hear your thoughts, but my first thought was just looking at the graphics. Mm-hmm. It just reminded me of The Matrix.
Yes.
It looks nothing like The Matrix, visually, but it just something about that late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic just screamed Matrix to me.
Yeah, it's very the world of Stark in the game is very cyberpunky. It's super futuristic. Your character is in a city called East Venice, but it's in the heart of I don't know where in the world, but it's just the heart of it doesn't seem like Venice, or at least the Venice as we would know it. It's very you could go to downtown and it's a sprawling metropolis, neon everywhere. It's very, very, it's almost a little bit dystopian in a way, but it's neat. And Arcadia is there's just so many cool differentiations between the two. And to be honest, I think these games do have quite a following within the queer community. A lot of people have really been hey, this was my queer awakening. This game in the 90s just has these really nice this couple who are lesbians. That's super sweet. And they never it's always when you meet them, it's never that's their defining characteristic. Primarily they're hey, they own the building, and they're asking if hey, do you mind sending rent when you have a chance? Absolutely, we can. You want to watch TV with me? Absolutely, let's watch TV in the living room together, right? So it's sweet, but it's not the game was checking off a box and was we need 2 lesbians and that's all they're gonna be. So yeah, I quite like that one. If anyone's ever interested in a playthrough of it, I have my playthrough of the first game on YouTube. I don't have my playthrough of the second game on YouTube, but I'm going to at some point. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's also one of the earliest queer games we've ever discussed on the show. So thank you so much for bringing that this week.
Yeah, no problem.
So where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Ekamy, so Ekamy. And on Blue Sky, I believe it's the same. Oh, Blue Sky and Instagram, I believe it's the same, but I think there's an underscore before and after the name. So yeah, any socials, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to your avatars for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. If you've made it this far into the episode, I really appreciate you taking the time to support queer-made content. If you want to support the show, it would be really great if you could leave a rating, review, or comment on your preferred podcast platform. I welcome you to check out the website trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. That's trueavatarspodcast.com. You can also find the show on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the handle @trueavatars, all one word, and on Instagram under trueavatars. Importantly, if you or anyone you know is queer and involved with video games in some way, please don't be shy. I would love to hear from more queer voices in video games. Your voice is unique and valid and worth sharing with the world. And if you don't want to be on the show or know anyone who's interested, but you know about a cool queer video game or a games industry story that's queer related, please let me know. The show's official email is trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. That's trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. You can also feel free to reach out via the website or the aforementioned social media pages. Things are tough out there and queer people need to stick together when we can. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.